Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I am playing with some fun Brutus Monroe products. I do have the pumpkin spice paper collection. I have a couple of chroma glazes. Now I chose copper and sherbet. I have the shine like a star stamp. It says or like a diamond, your choice. I have a photo of me showing off a nice clear wall. And then I have this stencil. Now this is the chunky stencil, which is meant to go with chunky glitter glazes, but we're going to use some chroma glazes. And of course, my background is going to be some khaki cardstock. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I am using the Chunky Star stencil, and this is a thicker opening stencil. It's actually really awesome for the chunky glitter glaze that Brutus Monroe has now. And if you haven't seen a video where I've done chunky glitter glaze yet, it's awesome. It is just as fabulous as regular glitter glaze, but it has big, thick, chunky glitter in it. But I like the fact that these are big open stars, so I'm doing them straight up and down with the copper chroma glaze. Now, I'm not making sure that everything is perfect with these stars. They're going to be kind of a little bit of a mess, and I am okay with that. I don't mind that whatsoever. I don't wait for it to dry, and I go ahead and overlap my stencil over the stars. The top of the stencil is touching the bottom of some of those wet stars, you guys, so if that stresses you out, you might want to wait. But I'm not going for a super clean look. I want my mixed media to be a little bit messy because I'm going to have some clearly defined like pattern papers. So I am going to stamp directly onto my photo. I'm using the Shine Like a Star stamp set, and that is because I really was the star of the show when I cleared out what was in front of this wall at work. So I texted this picture to my boss just to be like, hey, look how awesome I am. And it was definitely appreciated. So I go ahead and I'm just using the Brutus Monroe detail ink over top of my photo. Now this is a photo that I got from a printing place. I did not print this at home. And I'm just going to kind of stamp off some of the ink. Now look at that gorgeousness. I'm serious, you guys. The copper chroma glaze over top of khaki colored cardstock makes my heart beat and so happy. So I went ahead and found the pumpkin spice paper pack, and I'm just going to use this plaid paper, and then there is also a polka dot paper that I'm going to use. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, I need some clearly defined edges here. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I decide to use this darker one. Now I'm pretty sure that is a coffee bean, that little dark dot. It looks like a coffee bean to me. If it's not, then it's not, but it looks like one to me, but you have to be up on it, looking at it like, whoa, hey, is this a coffee bean? So I'm going to trim down the 6x6 paper down to 2 equal widths, and then that way I can put them together and match up the pattern to create a longer piece of paper, which makes me happy. I love figuring out ways to use my 6x6 papers. It's just exciting when you end up being able to use them. So I'm trying to figure out like where this stuff should go. And I'm like, okay, now I need another one. So this is where I'm going to pull in that polka dot paper. And I'm like, okay, this is where I need to figure out some way to keep my papers separate but together. So I am going to take the stars, and this time I'm going to hold the star stencil so that the stars are at a diagonal instead of straight up and down. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the chroma mist over here and the orangey color, and the official name of it, you guys, is escaping me. Let me grab it real quick. It is Sherbert. So I'm pretty sure I said that at the beginning of the video. I am finger painting with it. One of my favorite things to do with both the chroma glazes and the velveteen glazes is paint them on with my fingers. I have super control with it, and it's just fun. It's just fun to be messy, you guys. So I'm just going to get that Chroma Glaze on top of the stencil. And it just adds a little extra oomph, a little extra pizzazz to the pattern paper. Now, I have done this technique multiple times in the past where I use glitter glaze through stencils over pattern paper. And then I'm going to heat it up a little bit, and then I decide, you know what? I'm just going to put this off to the side and let it dry. It's not super thick, and I've got other stuff I can be doing. Maybe I don't want to mess around with the heat tool all night long. So I put that off to the side, and now I am going to figure out what I am doing. So I'm going to get this cleared out of the way. Now that black thing that I was using is a mixed media mat. I love that sucker. It does help keep my table mat super clean. Unlike my fingers where I just smudged the shine like a star on my photo. So, did I ruin it? No. I am just going to use a photo wipe. It's basically like a lens cleansing cloth, and I just wipe it off, and I am going to re-stamp because I wasn't paying attention and I smeared it. I should have paid attention. Now, it will dry, but I am... You know, you are stamping on a photo surface, so it needs the extra time to dry because that ink is not going to be absorbed into the photo like it would if I would have stamped on paper, and it would have absorbed into the fibers of the paper. So now I am just going to make sure that all of my papers are going to have this black background. And one of the things I do enjoy about matting everything on the black background is that it gives it a good pop. Like it's a good pop. So I decide, since I have the pop everywhere, I might as well do it on the background paper as well. So I go ahead and trim down this khaki cardstock where it has the copper chroma mist on it. And then, you know, it is a little bit buckled. You put a wet medium on a piece of paper, it dried, it buckles a little bit. Now, don't stress out about that, you guys. Like, just don't. You can either put something heavy on it and flatten it out, or you could do what I do and just put it in your page protector, put it in an album, fill it up, and they flatten out. Like they just do. You don't have to worry about it. So now is the time to get everything adhered down to the page and to figure out where exactly I want it to go. So I'm like, okay, I really like this. And I decide that I'm not going to stamp onto my photo until the very end because I don't want to screw it up again. So I'm just grabbing a white doily from my stash. I'm going to go ahead and place all of my pattern papers and my photos down. And I'm just trying to get the placement right. Like, where does it look cool? Like, where does it look pleasing to my eye? And ultimately, that's where I like it. There is a little bit of a black residue on my photo from where I wiped off the original ink, but that's okay. I am going to put my layout into a Misty stamp positioner and then put my stamp right there so I can figure out where it's going to go. I make sure that my layout is tight, and then I'm going to stamp it and place it down. So I do stamp it twice just to make sure that I have really good full coverage, and then I am happy with it. So I will go ahead and add some journaling to this layout. I've got this big expansive space down here. I guess it's not really expansive, you guys, but it feels expansive because there's a lot of blank space right here. So I just go ahead and journal and talk about how, you know, sometimes all you need to do is clear off a wall to impress your boss because nobody else was doing it and stuff was sitting, and it's just like, how lazy can you be, people? Just do the freaking job. I didn't write that in the journaling, I promise. It would be funny if I did, but yeah. I never want to have to like hide my journaling in a layout. I actually did write some pretty nasty journaling once in a layout where I was kind of picking at some people, and I ended up ripping it out because they wanted to see the album. So I was like, oh, don't. You know what? If I don't want people to read it, I probably shouldn't write it. So I'm going to wrap up the journaling. And now I feel like my page is pretty balanced. And since I have all this shining, shimmering splendid with the copper chroma glaze, I don't really need a whole heck of a lot of embellishment. So I'm loving this layout, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave the links down to the products down below, and I will see you again real soon for another video.